I ran the numbers on my first 3 years of tiny living and compared them line by line against what I would have spent in a conventional apartment in the same city. The result was not the clean financial win the tiny house content machine promised. It was more complicated than that. And in some categories, I saved dramatically. In others, I spent more than I would have in a regular home. And there was one cost category nobody ever mentioned to me that quietly consumed a significant portion of what I thought I was saving. I'm going to show you the actual math. The hidden costs the lifestyle content glosses over, and the specific circumstances under which the living genuinely is one of the best financial decisions a person can make, and the ones where it isn't. The promise versus the reality. The financial pitch for tiny living goes like this: if you spend $50,000 to $80,000 building or buying a tiny house instead of $300,000 buying a conventional home, you eliminate or dramatically reduce your mortgage. Your utility costs drop because you're heating and cooling a fraction of the space. Your maintenance costs drop because the less house to maintain, your possessions shrink because there's nowhere to put them, which, reduces consumption. You save more, you work less if you choose, and achieve financial freedom years earlier than the conventional path allows. That pitch is not wrong, but it's incomplete in ways that matter significantly. What it leaves out is the land costs, either purchasing it, leasing it, or paying RV park rates, which doesn't go away just because your house is small. It leaves out the higher than expected building costs when people try to do it themselves and encounter the learning curve of construction. It leaves out the depreciation reality of a tiny house on wheels, which does not appreciate in value the way a conventional home does. And it leaves out the opportunity cost of the time, energy, and mental bandwidth the lifestyle demands, which has a real dollar value, even if it never appears in a budget spreadsheet. Run the full numbers, and tiny living is still often a good financial decision, but it's a more nuisance one than the Instagram version suggests. And understanding the nuance is what determines whether it works for your specific situation. The build cost reality check too. The most commonly cited tiny house cost is somewhere between $30,000 to $60,000 for a self-built house, and that number is achievable. It's also frequently wrong for first-time builders who encounter what the construction industry calls scope creep, the relentless expansion of a project cost as decisions get made in the field that weren't fully explained on the paper. The average self-built tiny house in the United States actually costs anywhere in between $50 to $90,000 when you account for tools purchased and mistakes corrected and materials wasted and during the learning curve and the upgrade that felt necessary once construction was underway. Professional builds hiring a tiny house company to build to your specifications run anywhere from 80 to 150,000 for a quality finished product. And used tiny houses in good condition sell for 40 to $80,000 depending on the age, size, and the condition. And none of those numbers include land. And a land add a lease of a $300 per month, and your effective monthly housing costs for a self-built tiny house with a modest build loan starts to look comparable to a reasonable apartment in a mid-sized city. Not dramatically cheaper, just structured differently. And the financial advantage is real, but it's smaller in the earlier years than the pitch suggests and grows more significant over time as the build cost is paid off and the land situation is resolved. Where tiny living genuinely saves money, though, there are there's three categories where the financial savings of tiny living are real and they're significant and not offset by hidden costs either. Utilities are the clearest win. A well insulated tiny house heated with wood or propane and running a modest solar system costs 50 to $150 per month in energy costs compared to 150 to 400 per month for a conventional home in the same climate. Over 10 years, that gap compounds into meaningful numbers. $50 a month in a utility savings is $6,000 over 10 years. $150 a month in savings is 18,000. This is real money that requires no behavioral change beyond occupying a small space. Consumption drops almost automatically in a tiny house because there is nowhere to put things. The impulse purchase that would have ended up on a shelf in a spare bedroom has no equivalent destination in 200 square feet. And people who move, this behavior effects is real and financially significant over time, even if it is impossible to quantify precisely in advance. The psychological relationship with money often shifts in tiny living in ways that compound financially over time. When you've made a deliberate choice to live with less, the consumption patterns that drive much of the conventional spending, keeping up with the neighbors, filling space, buying comfort, lose their grip gradually. And people in tiny houses report a higher savings rating, not just because their fixed costs are lower, but because their spending appetite changes and not universal, but it's common enough to be worth, running as a genuine financial effect of the lifestyle. The hidden costs that eat your savings, though. Here's the category the tiny house content machine consistently underreports. Maintenance and repair costs in a tiny house on wheels are higher per square foot than in a conventional home, not lower. And the taller frame needs inspection and maintenance. The roof, built to travel under highway bridges with minimal pitch, is more vulnerable to leaks and steeply pitched residential roofs. And the connections and seams in the structure designed to move, flex, and shift over time in the ways that fixed foundations don't. And window seals fail. Composite siding weathers. The system that makes a tiny house function, solar, composting toilets, propane lines, water pumps, and they all need maintenance and eventual replacement on timelines that arrive faster in a heavily used small structure than in a larger home. Budget $1,500 to $3,000 per year for maintenance and repair in a tiny house, and you'll be close to reality in most years. Ignore this category entirely, as most tiny house financial comparisons do, and the savings and calculation becomes significantly more optimistic than the actual experience. The mobility cost is also real and rarely discussed. Moving a tiny house requires a capable tow vehicle, a heavy duty pickup truck capable of towing 12,000 to 15,000 pounds safely. And that vehicle costs 40 to $70,000 new now and requires its own insurance and maintenance. And it gets poor fuel economy. If you don't already own one, add it to the true cost of the tiny house. If you're paying someone to move your house, expect $2 to $5 per loaded mile, plus setup fees at the destination. And then the appreciation is a problem too. This is the financial reality that separates tiny living from conventional home ownership most significantly. A conventional home in most markets appreciates in value over time. A tiny house on wheels, it depreciates slowly at first, okay, then fast as systems age and the structure shows wear. After 10 years, a tiny house that costs 80,000 to build is realistically worth 40,000 to 55,000 if it's been well maintained. And after 12 years, the depreciation curve steepens. And this means that unlike conventional home ownership, tiny living does not build equity in the traditional sense. The money you spend on a tiny house is closer to a vehicle purchase than a real estate investment. You're buying an appreciating lifestyle asset, not a depreciating one. And the financial equation only works in your favor if the monthly savings compared to conventional housing compound into savings and the investment that grows independently of the house itself. The tiny house owners who are genuinely ahead financially after 10 years are almost universally the ones who took the money they saved on housing cost and invested it consistently in index funds, in land, in a business, and skills that increase their earnings capacity. The lifestyle alone doesn't build wealth. The savings rate it enables deploys into assets that appreciate does. And when tiny living is absolutely worth it financially, the circumstances where tiny living wins clearly on financial terms are specific and worth naming directly. If you can eliminate your housing payment entirely, own your land outright and your tiny house outright, and invest equivalent of what you would have paid in rent or mortgages every month, the compounding math over 10 to 20 years is extraordinary. A person paying zero in housing costs and investing $1,200 per month at a modest 7% return accumulates over $200,000 in 10 years. That's a different financial trajectory than most conventional paths offer. If you're in a high cost living area where the alternative to a tiny house is $2,500 per month in rent with no equity building, the comparison shifts dramatically in tiny living's favor, even accounting for all the hidden costs. And if they tiny living enables you to do work you generally find meaningful rather than work that merely covers an expensive conventional lifestyle. And that nine financial returns compound alongside the financial ones in ways that don't show up in a spreadsheet, but define the quality of a life. And the honest answer to whether house living is worth it financially is it depends entirely on whether you run the full number, account for the hidden cost, and build the investment discipline. The capture to capture the savings and the lifestyle makes possible. Do all three, and it can be one of the best financial decisions you'll ever make. And miss any one of them, and it's a lifestyle choice that costs about the same as the alternative, just in a smaller space. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy today's video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Watch this video over here on the right too. It also help you out on your journey. And if you really love me, buy me a coffee. It's in the description and on this channel's front page as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.